Hi. So I was thinking to tell you a bit about how I built the society in my book because it's a science fiction book, and in the future the society is a little different than the one we know here. And that started with the first part of the book that I'm actually telling last. The one in the near future, about 20, 30 years in the future. I envision it around 2050, more or less. The society that I envisioned there is one that went way to the extreme right, um, with inequality, with the environment falling apart on Earth. And in that context, I wrote a war story. So there are hints to that society. It's not explained totally, but there are hints there to explain that certain people at the end of the first part secretly build rockets, and they secretly gather people around via the internet, and they just leave Earth. And what they do is they go to the stars, not knowing where they will end up initially. In the second part, they arrive at a star system that is comprised mainly of gas giants, super Earths, big planets who have moons around them that are viable, and the moons are the ones where the people are going to live on. Each moon kind of represents like a country, like here on Earth. I pictured it that way. That was in that's actually something that comes from the last story that I already had in my head. That the countries were separated by space because they lived on different moons, planets, how you want to call it, and that they later developed spaceflight and met up with each other to form an alliance. But before it came to that, they crashed in some instances on the moon. The first order of business was, of course, survival. So they tried to survive by, they had provisions that they brought from Earth, but they also had seeds and stuff, and they had to plant them. It didn't work, so they had to look for seeds on the place where they were, and for plants, edible plants that were there. It was basically survival. So I made them make construction teams to build houses, initially wooden houses, later stone houses. I did an agricultural team that did agriculture. I mean, that planted seeds and that tried to gather animals there for food. And I came onto a problem with that because somewhere along the line, you get there, you have to survive, so you do things for the community. When you are there for a while, people are gonna ask what will it bring, because we're people, we wanna gain money and stuff. So I came to a problem that now, working from the fact that they've ran away from a society that was predominantly right wing, the logical step was to think that most of the people who were there were left wing, were like socialists. So I envisioned a society that didn't use any money. They did it in Star Trek. Nobody worried about it. They did it in Star Trek. They don't have money. They work for the betterment of mankind and stuff. So I thought, they're gonna have to make money. Then they're gonna have to make a structure where people are gonna pay taxes, because if they want to get paid by the government or paid by whatever, they're gonna have whatever government body is there. They gotta have money to give them. So it was way too complicated, and the simplest solution anyway, in a society with the foreknowledge that these people had, starting anew from zero, for me was, look, we are doing this for the community. You are construction workers, you make houses for yourself and for other people. But those other people, they are making food. They are farmers growing food. That food will go to you. It's compensation enough. In the beginning, I was thinking to put it in only once, but in the end, it became a theme that reoccurred at times. And ironically, the last country, Moon, abolishes money because I wrote in the book that some of the colonies, they did use money. They did try to reestablish the money theme, which led to famine amongst people, which led to people who didn't have medical care and stuff. So they abolished it. And the last colony to abolish it were the Russians, the communists, so to speak. That society then grew into an alliance. And what I wanted to convey in that alliance was that these people were living together. They had the struggle of survival on a new planet, in a new system. The fear that they wouldn't be able to establish space flight because some planets didn't have the resources to do that. How it is done, read the book. Just read the book. But in the end, they had worked together so long that in the alliance, I wanted to create a society that didn't have those petty differences about skin tone, about religion. So somewhere in that story, in the last story, you will suddenly notice that when the Americans in the last story arrive, which will be later called the Confederates, because they want a white supremacist society. If you want to know why, again, read the book. It's in the book. It's all explained. So when the talk is about these people, look, they want a white supremacist state. They think that the white race is the superior race. People begin to ask, what do you mean white race? We have the human race. We have all kinds of colors in the human race. What do you mean white race? And that was the society I wanted to end up in, which I did. Which makes this book a little... It's sort of sends an anti-racist message and something I believe in, that we are indeed only one race. So... about many people will have questions about the moneyless society, that it's really socialists and really communist and whatever. Here on Earth, I know it is practically impossible to do that. But I went from a society, as I already told, a society with foreknowledge, who started from zero and had to build up again. And it was, in my opinion, a sort of natural evolution that occurred. Not exactly a political idea that I wanted to convey. What I did want to convey was very much the alliance society that is based on pure equality and that has virtually no discrimination whatsoever. I hope you are intrigued. I will leave again a link in the description below, and I hope you like this video. And I hope to see you again. Bye.